How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. It is 2021. For this video, I thought we'd bring back a yearly tradition of simply going through what I plan to keep on my phone for the coming year. Also, again, traditionally, I am going to be talking to you about why I personally choose to keep it minimalist. Okay, so first of all, let's go over the phone. Me personally, I'm going to be using the iPhone 12 this year. I personally think it was kind of the sweet spot for me. I found the biggest screen size very easy to get used to thanks to the new shape. And all in all, I've just found this to be a phenomenal phone. If you want to check out my full review on it, I've got one up there. But for now, let's talk about what I plan to keep on it. Okay, so first of all, we have these stock apps. Now, if you've ever seen one of these videos I've done before, then you will know that I personally try to make the best use of stock apps possible, because usually this makes centralizing everything a lot easier. If you look behind me, we have my main computer, which is this iMac, and I also like to use an iPad, so the fact that most of the stock apps work with iCloud is a phenomenal bonus for me. For example, if I am writing a script on this computer there, suddenly I'm late. Of course I am. I hurriedly grab my phone off my desk, but I still need to write that script. What do? I can continue writing it on my phone, and that is amazing. When I started using Apple products like 4 years ago, yeah, before that, I was like an Android user and a PC fan, and while I still do love those products, the ecosystem is real, especially if you're a digital minimalist like me. In terms of specific stock apps, ones that I personally like to use are Messages, Safari, Music, and Notes, especially Notes. I also do like to use Apple Music over Spotify, again, because I can keep everything synced. Also, I kind of like the UI of Apple Music better. But yeah, because they work with iCloud so well, and because I like to have access to all my files across multiple devices, I find that using the stock apps wherever possible is ideal. I mean, I've even switched to using Safari on this computer because the handoff feature now works so well. Anyway, now let's talk about some third-party apps. So if we go to the second screen on my home screen, we can see a list of third-party apps. Now, if you see my 2019 edition, then you will know that I used to have a full folder system to keep my apps organized. However, with the release of iOS 14, I was actually able to scrap that because you could remove apps from your home screen without deleting them off your phone, which made organizing my phone so much easier. I typically have the rule that if I don't use each app on my home screen once a day, then I can probably do without it being on my home screen, and I just move it to the app library. As you can see, the first app on my home screen is Instagram, and while I have kind of gone off it recently, I do still use it daily because I mostly follow some very talented photographers on there. So yeah, going on Instagram for like 10 minutes is a nice bump in inspiration when I want to do something creative. I also really like the stories feature on here. I personally never got into Snapchat. Twitter fleets are kind of pointless if you think about it. I mean, that's kind of the point of tweeting. And so I find that Instagram stories have become my personal favorite. Overall though, as I said, I really don't like the new UI prioritizing the shop over your discovery feed, as well as the fact that you actually have to select to go back to old posts now. That's not fun. But yeah, I do still find myself using it daily, so I keep it on my home screen. Next up, we have YouTube. Now, as I said before, this is probably my main entertainment hub on my phone. I don't have Netflix on my phone anymore, or even Channel 4. Crazy, I know, because I find that most of my favorite content is published on YouTube. When I have a spare minute, I do love checking out what my contemporaries have been up to on YouTube. Again, it is an easy place to find inspiration, and seeing as I make quite a lot of YouTube videos, it is important that I keep YouTube on my phone, and I do find myself using it every day. Sometimes a little too much, in fact. Trying to work on that. Next up, we have YouTube Studio, which is basically where I manage my comments from. I try not to look at this too much because I do think people can get too wrapped up in analytics, so I barely check those. But as I said, it has got the best system for responding to comments, even better than on desktop in my opinion. I can quickly and easily respond to people in a linear order, and while I won't show it to you for privacy reasons, I do think YouTube Studio is a great channel management app. After this, we have my main messaging service, which is still Telegram. Now, as I said before, I do use Messages. However, a lot of my friends are actually on Android. In fact, most of them are. So after trying many apps, we've personally found that Telegram works best for us. And if you never tried out Telegram, it also has some pretty neat features. One thing that I used to really like when I was on Android is that you could send full resolution photos to yourself. This was back before I used Lightroom Mobile like all the time. So I'd take a photo on my camera, edit it on my computer, send myself the uncompressed file on my phone, and then post it to Instagram that way. Kinda long-winded. Remember, that was a couple of years ago, and software has come a long way since then. After this, we have Headspace, which is an app I use for meditation. I've been trying to do this more or less daily, and while I do occasionally slip, I found that this is a great app to keep me on track. Not only are the practices fairly easy, but also you can change the duration. So if you only have time to do 5 minutes, then you can set it to that. You don't have to do like the full 10 or 20 minutes. Yeah, if you're looking to get into meditation, I would highly recommend trying out the free trial of Headspace. Up next, we have everybody's least favorite app, Duolingo. Now, I know the emails are annoying and it is very expensive for what it is. That said, in my experience, it is by far one of the best language learning apps I've ever tried. I personally use it to keep sharp with my Swedish, and the fact that you can do either a little bit or like a full hour every single day makes this one of my most used and favorite apps. Up next, we have DJI Go 4, which is my drone app, and recently, seeing as the weather is getting marginally better, I suppose, I've actually been trying to fly my drone more, and while I don't use this app every day, which is kind of breaking the rules, I know, it almost acts as like a little reminder to just, hey, if you got some spare time, maybe try flying your drone. Finally, for the homepage, we have Twitter. Now, again, Twitter is an app that I kind of don't like to use too much, although hands down, I prefer it over Instagram. I personally use this to keep up to date with tech news, as well as follow things like music, or just things that I'm generally interested in. That's also where I post most of the behind the scenes for these videos, so if you're interested in seeing that, go follow me on Twitter. Anyway, that's going to do it for the homepage, and now we're moving on to the app library, which is where the rest of my apps are stored. To be honest, I don't actually have too many apps in here now. The main ones I have are Gmail, Lightroom, Snapseed, Halide, Patient Access, and Breathwork, which is 6 apps. Not exactly a lot. The app library was personally one of my favorite things that Apple added in iOS 14, and while I know this has been a feature on Android for ages, that was truly a feature I missed when I switched from Android to iOS. So yeah, very glad this is here. I like the fact that it automatically sorts things into categories, so I don't have to bother doing it myself anymore, and while I, in theory, could, I personally find that the default sorting does work great. Anyway, as I said, the first app we're going to talk about is in the productivity and finance folder, which is, of course, Gmail. Now, again, like Twitter, this is actually one that I can get sucked into pretty quickly. I also know that I said about using stock apps earlier. Personally, I like Gmail because it sorts everything into general, social, and promotion, so I don't get too much clutter in my general inbox. And again, this is another thing about digital minimalism. You can customize it to your needs. Just because I use a stock app doesn't mean you need to. And again, if there is a stock app, but you don't like how it functions, absolutely feel free to install a third-party app. It's not about limiting yourself. After this, we have the creativity folder, which includes 3 of the 6 apps: Halide, Lightroom, and Snapseed. Halide is a really great manual camera for iPhone that lets you take like raw photos, adjust your shutter speed and aperture. It is crazy. It is a little on the pricey side, but to me, it's kind of worth every penny. As I said before, I love taking photos on my phone, so if I see like an amazing photo where I know I'll want that extra bit of flexibility in post, I will often crack out Halide. Next up, we have Lightroom Mobile, which is awesome. This is far and wide my favorite mobile editing app. It's not perfect, but ever improving with updates. And I find that if I want to get some photo editing done on the go, I no longer have to bring a big heavy laptop. I can just load up the photo on my phone, start tweaking the settings, maybe add a preset, and you can get a neat desktop experience on your phone, which is kind of amazing. Snapseed is, simply put, a continuation of this, and while I do almost entirely prefer Lightroom, there are just a few tools in Snapseed that are amazing. I actually did a full editing tutorial on Snapseed recently that you can check out up there, but it's essentially a free editing app made by Google that can edit raw photos on your phone. Kind of crazy. So if you want to get into photo editing, strongly recommend you check out Snapseed. Penultimately, we have NHS Patient Access, which is where I order prescriptions and book appointments. Again, not going to show you this one for privacy reasons. And while I certainly don't use this one every day, as someone who has to keep track of a lot of medicines and doesn't do that very well at all, Patient Access definitely helps. The final notable third-party app I have on my phone is Breathwork. Again, this is very similar to Headspace, only instead of meditation, this one is specifically for breathwork, and while I am not great at using this app regularly, certainly a lot of fun whenever I give it a go, so I should probably use that more. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know, by the way, some of your favorite apps. I always like reading your guys' comments. As for now though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, then smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.